All right, we're back for day two of the SCS Open qualifiers. We're really starting to thin the herd, find out who's going to make it to close quals by the end of tonight. So I am Light Rose. Joining me is the wonderful Phoenix Blaze, and I think we have a good match in front of us. We've got a couple teams that, well, we know who's on it, and we love to see them play.
I am so excited. We're going to be watching Mystic Academy go up against Stay Safe. So a long-term team up against a bunch of veterans, I guess you could really call it. So very excited to see how things are going to go tonight. But don't forget, we have two other streams running tonight. So our main stream right now has Reality TV versus Homeland, and the wonderful Super is also multi-streaming with us with Deprived and Turbo & Co.
Well, I mean, I just love seeing Mystic. I think they've been a staple of T3 for a long time. They've been a consistent, roster. And speaking of rosters, we can kind of head over to there. That's something that both Stay Safe and Mystic Academy have kind of had these few players that have always been on the team. I mean, Mystic, you've got Kirk, Aim Key over there, and then on S2, Reverse, Wi-Fi, Amp have been really duking it out together for a long time.
Yeah, and you can't really ignore players like Biologic, who've been all the way up to Pro League, but also Spider, who's just been an impenetrable force when it comes to Challenger League. So it is going to be quite the wonderful matchup to watch. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this one, but I do think we might be ready for bans here. I know we were treated with a little bit of a nice little treat with Clubhouse and Oregon coming right off the board in the beginning.
Exciting for you and I. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get something different, but there is a map that I've seen hundreds of times before. It is still not banned. There's a good chance that it is gonna get picked off. I'm talking about Villa. Speak of the devil. There it is. We're going to Villa again. I mean, it feels like Villa's kind of turning into Oregon and Clubhouse with how much it's getting played.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really becoming a choice, map for teams to play, almost like the good old days where it was kind of like, if you know Oregon, you know how to play Siege. Now it's really becoming Villa because it is such a dynamic map that most teams are going to have to really worry about tactics and teamwork. Honestly, Light Rose, I am so excited to see what two teams are going to bring to this map.
Yeah, I mean, Mystic Academy, they've gone undefeated in that first day, and in the first qualifiers, they were able to make it. Were unsuccessful, and you could say the same of S2, both of these teams wanting to get to the closed qualifiers and actually make it all the way through, but they're gonna have to go through each other. And well, I mean, I think they need one more win. I think Mystic does need this win, and they should be confirmed for the closed qualifiers. But I mean, if they don't, they can start to really get into a kerfuffle with some of these teams. As well, when you get to closed quals, Blaze, you also have to talk about, I believe there is a form of seeding that is ever important.
Yes, and a lot of that seeding and stuff we'll find out more than likely closer to the end of the night. But just to point out a little bit about the Mystic Academy situation, yes, are ranked currently third in the standings for the qualifier. Now, as V did mention, one more win and it does solidify them. So it's basically 5 wins and through. Now, Stay Safe has lost one, so they have 2 to win in order to get there. But as we are having bans immediately come out, Habana immediately comes off the board. So no hatches, no X-Kairos pellets. That's going to be a sticky situation they're going to have to deal with on both sides of the fence.
And Nook being the second man, not a surprise, as so far it just seems like kind of standard. I mean, the defensive bans will probably follow suit. You might get a Mira and a Valkyrie because you didn't see any, Maverick ban. You didn't see any dig at the actual hard breach itself. I am expecting that that's kind of same old that we see. But Azami has snuck her way in. There's another operator that you have to consider on Villa. And, well, I'm hedging my bets. This has to be Valkyrie for the last one.
I agree with you 100%. If the Valkyrie doesn't come off the board, that is a huge advantage for both teams, being able to hide black eye cameras and providing extra intel to their respective teams. So as you predicted, the Valkyrie does come off the board, so that makes a whole lot of sense denying intel, especially on a map like Villa. You've got to worry about those nooks and crannies of where those black eye cameras can be sent. But the Azami ban, we're starting to see that become more of a common occurrence, just because those Kiba barriers have so much of a, really nuisance when it comes to attackers, because those Kiba barriers essentially can be put up anywhere. So that ban totally makes sense. Now we are going to start all things off on trophy and statuary, and well, we'll see how these players decide to get things rolling here.
I want to actually renege a statement I said earlier. I was talking about Mystic Academy and S2 in the closed qualifiers. Mystic Academy actually did not make the closed qualifiers. I wanted to actually check my statements. They went 4-4 in the previous round of qualifiers, so they're almost beating their previous qualifier record. But I think here's where you kind of get to the difficult part. You're facing the top teams with the style that SCS has for the qualifiers. The more you win, you're gonna face teams who are having the same record as you. So if Mystic Academy, they're able to win this, they're probably going to have to play against, Somali Pirate, 6 Karma. 6 Karma is terrifying, and a Mexican Pro League team. It would be an honor to probably go up against them, but to take one away from them would be a tall order.
Well, you also have teams like Deprived being kind of the underdog of this entire qualifier, who really came out of nowhere. So it's everything in SCS so far this qualifier has been exciting. So many great teams, so much great action to be seen, and we're not even completely through the qualifiers yet. But what we are going to start doing is moving into this round, as we are going to see S2 is going to start on the attacking side of things. So slow and methodical is the game of Villa, but Biologic getting the first kill onto Skunky, that is unfortunate for Mystic Academy.
Oh, and Kirk following. Reverse is right on the red stairs. He's taken out by Spider. So Mystic Academy very close to bringing it back. And just like that, Spider stays alive and evens the man count. But stay safe. They fire right back, pick up that diffuser, and start to charge their way back to the site. And with Big Guy, the only player who really has full HP, it's going to make winning this round a little bit more difficult.
Absolutely, especially when you start ticking down the clock as far as it's gotten down to. So over half of the round is essentially gone at this point, and you don't want to delay on a map like Villa. The longer you delay, the harder it is to take control of things and to really start setting up your execution, especially with the diffuser down. 9 times out of 10, if the diffuser's down, the other team knows about it. So that's a battle that you're going to have to face too. And with little to no time left here on the clock, that is not a situation that either team really wants to have to be in, unless you're the defensive team. Because remember, 6th player, the clock.
Now, S2, they can use the advantage that they've kind of given themselves. Drone out. Look how many drones they have. 7. And they still get to use a lot of them. Unfortunately, the UMP, just not the prime gun for that scenario. So, S2, they get a good start, but Mystic Academy trying to fire back. I think the trophy statuary, S2 just seemed completely ready for it.
Absolutely. These two teams, this is something you would expect. Both of these teams are very well versed in just how to play most of these maps, and Villa should honestly be no different. Moving into Aviator Games, this is going to essentially be another situation that everybody should know how to play. It's a staple here on Villa. So if it's a situation where either one of these teams falter, it's just going to be great strategy. I have to point out, though, here on the side of the defense, we do see Big Guy bringing out the somebody I have not seen in quite a while, the king himself, Tachanka. I love Tachanka personally. Having the Shumika launcher is essentially having a mobile Goyo. You can get those Shumika launch little pellets into almost any space without even having to compromise your own position.
It has a gigantic skill ceiling, and honestly a very high skill floor as well, because there's a lot of areas where you will get almost no use out of the Shumika launcher. You have 14 of those kind of fired bolts. I don't know what they're actually called, but basically they cover a small area. They might not last very long, so you actually have to get good usage out of the ones that you have, and it's honestly, it's really hard to do that, Blaze. I don't see it too much where Tachanka is brought over something like a smoke because he's much harder to actually get utilization out.
Yeah, normally you would see those two operators actually being brought in tandem, because if you especially run it with the Goyo like we have Mystic doing, that's a lot of area denial, and that is a lot of time wasted. So extremely smart, especially with Villa being, oh no, aim key takes down reverse, and then Bio comes in again with the first kill for his team. Absolutely insane. This is going to be a back and forth situation here between kills, but I'm ready to see Mystic just use these operators have and just slow, if not stop, S2.
Biologic does not seem intent on stopping anytime soon. Now is able to actually get utilization of the cameras. You can see Ant making sure that, well, even though the attack could actually use it now, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You can have the defense go on it, the attack go on it. You have to weigh your risks in the end, but so far, it seems like a very similar round. Blaze, with S2 gaining an advantage, Mystic Academy having to fight their way back, even while down, you know, 2 other members. They're starting to lose a little bit of the utility, but the fact that they have 3 operators that have plans out, Tachanka, Smoke, and Goyo, I think this time can really start to be dripped away.
Yeah, especially if you're actually putting that Tachanka in the safe area, that would be perfect. But the kills are going to start ringing across the board here as less than a minute is about to hit the clock, and poor S2 has little to no room to move here.
Mystic Academy taking advantage of that, though, is now, well, we're all evened up on the board. Amp is going to be able to actually get inside of the vault or find access into it. Spider just gets caught out, not aware of the Dekebi. So now we talked about him early on in the round. Tachanka is going to have to complete a 1v2, but you saw it, I saw it. Biologic has Big Guy dead to rights, the exact position known, but Big Guy's gonna try to worm his way out. He does a lot of damage to the Dekebi. That LMG may not have a good fire rate, but it deals a lot of damage, and unfortunately the Shumika launcher's just not in the right position. So now Big Guy finds one, downs one. He only needs 1 bullet to take out Biologic, win the round for Mystic Academy. But so far Biologic has time on his side, something the defense has always had, that leisure. But as Big Guy now pushes up towards Amp, probably will actually down him with the Shumika launcher. That might give Biologic the time to rotate, and unfortunately Big Guy just does not have the time, the information to win the post-plant clutch.
Biologic really showing up for his team tonight. It's great to see him coming out with such a force, especially in these early rounds. I gotta point out, you did mention that Shumika launcher just not being in the correct position as far as Mystic Academy's defense goes. I 100% agree with you on that. Usually you want an operator like that to be a little bit more turtled on site, kind of like that anchor situation. You want them to be that last line of defense and really send everybody else out. Now, what I would do a little bit differently, obviously we're not moving back to that same site here, but use your operators that are going to slow the push first before you start focusing on those full stop operators such as the Goyo, the Tachanka. That is going to be the biggest benefit Mystic Academy can use, is to gradually stop S, because S2 are getting early kills. They're trading, obviously, so back and forths are really great here. But the most important thing is you have to stop the areas, and that's what Mystic Academy is a little lacking on so far.
I'm going back to trophy. I mean, a lot of teams have opted to not go for the usual try the same site twice, and then if you lose both, move on, because there's a lot of inherent risk that kind of comes with that. So I do like the change up that we're seeing from Mystic. Interesting to note though, they're heavily putting that utility all the way over in Aviator games, trying to assist the roamers, because I mean, you mentioned it, they are struggling, not getting early kills, getting opening deaths instead. And with the players that we have on Mystic Academy, we know that they have the ability to really kick up some dust, start off the defense with some fire in their belly. But so far, it's really all been S2. I mean, the last round ended in a fiery way, but so far it is still S2 just seem in control nonetheless.
So as we move into this round, we are going to see the first kill come off the board. Reverse takes down aim key, beautiful fashion, but that still doesn't make anything really different than what we've saw so far. The first 2 rounds, we saw somebody from Mystic Academy go down. So in true and tried fashion, we should see somebody from S2 follow up not too long after. But I love seeing Kirk here on the mirror. Mirror was made for Villa, so you would expect Mirror to be brought with her black mirrors. But Kirk does even things out and takes down BJ.
Ooh, the frag grenades, there's so many for S2 to use. One's gonna fly by the mirror window, but just not cooked enough to get rid of the black mirror, the mute jammer. So S2, they just have to really attack this head on, and there's gonna be a lot of danger around that. As we can see, Kirk over in Aviator makes it so, honestly, Reverse is kind of all alone in this play. They aren't even able to do, I think, 1 tick of damage over to Skunky, but Biologic, their first death in this game is recorded in round 3. They put up a show so far, but it might not be enough to give S2 3 rounds in a row. Amp is going to have to complete the 1v3 with 50 seconds left. There's still black mirrors up that are protected by mute jammers. I mean, S2 has had a good series so far, but I feel like it has to end here.
Absolutely, you're 100% right with that, V, especially the fact that it's the A. He doesn't really have any great utility to use other than those Selma charges to open up some maybe pathways where he can avoid some gunfire, but it's not a great situation to be in a 1v3. We've seen clutches happen before, but I'm not sure we're going to see that here.
Ooh, yeah, that is definitely going to give away your position. A wonderful shot on Kirk, but there is Spider, not giving him the ones he needs to complete the 1vx. So, Mystic Academy, it seems that, you know, trying to shuffle through the site so far, it's worked, but now they're going to probably have to go over to the Aviator games, unless, of course, what we're seeing here, they opt to go for Dining Kitchen. So, I mean, I feel like the Aviator games went okay last time. Though, do you think they just don't want to try their luck?
Potentially not. I know Dining and Kitchen tends to be that really scary site when it comes to Villa. Being a very, very open just area site, if really the only thing you have to hide behind when it comes to that area is that big pile of stuff, is what we're going to call it, right smack dab in the middle, or you're hiding behind the table in the kitchen. So when you're anchoring operators, it makes it a little bit harder to hold down sight. On the attack, you have to worry about all that soft floor that's above. So vertical play is huge here, and that's what S2 is going to have to bring out. We're going to need to see operators like the Sledge come out. We're going to need to see potentially even a Buck, just any operator to open up those floors, get those angles set up so that way they can take control from the top side. Now, if Mystic is smart here, they are bringing in quite the interesting lineup, bringing in the Doc. So I'm expecting to see Anki roam with this Doc because that is the best way to use him here on Villa. But Spider looking to possibly sew some people down with a cap can. So hopefully S2 is going to do some good droning on this this round.
I mean, with the Doc, though, you could also just be a sentient Kona station, because you know, if Mystic Academy take a lot of firefights, they can back off into the site, and, well, there's Inky with a nice little steamy in the back pocket. Big Guy brings out the shotgun, but opts to actually have the SMG instead. It might have had a laser, but Am actually does spot the player. Big Guy just a little bit too late to fire an actual shot at the Osa on the window, but meanwhile, off the site, Kirk is going to get this round started for Mystic, taking out Biologic, a huge burden gone from their defensive shoulders as, well, he has been gunning left, right, and center, so this could be a good sign that they're going to put up their second in a row, and, well, that might boost it even further.
Back and forth trades are happening left and right here. But as you were saying, V, Biologic being one of those game players, actually, I'm not going to use that word, being one of those playmakers and getting multiple kills on the board, that puts S2 at a bit of a disadvantage here. Now, having Reverse and Wi-Fi still up, though, these two players historically have been known as really good fraggers, but they haven't quite showed up fully just yet. Remember, we're only in round 4. A lot's going to happen here, but we do see what looks like Big Guy potentially going for a C4, but he's waiting. He's pre-placing this, so I think it's going to be something quite interesting to see if they're able to get the proper comms out for that C4.
Yeah, there's two bulletproofs, but there isn't any Valkyrie. There's no pulse as well that you might usually see from this kitchen side. So I'm guessing just map knowledge, pure intuition might spur Mystic Academy potentially to a kill. As one more without, actually losing a couple could be kind of nail in the coffin that you need, and patience proves worthwhile. Big guy explodes the feet below Wi-Fi. So now there's one less player they have to worry about. One upstairs, one downstairs, as Reverse has snuck his way into the site. Nyx, he's got to prep a frag grenade trying to squirm a player out of a key position, but nobody on Mystic ACAD is actually taking any of the bait. There's going to be another frag grenade not cooked, so it's really not going to do much in the end but scare away this player as Kirk comes back, finds one, finds the second, and secures that round, as it does seem like we are in for a firefight of a match.
I believe you are correct there, V. Now, Kirk, being the biologic of Mystic Academy, being that playmaker, not surprised whatsoever performance coming out of him. Just seeing him getting these really early opening picks and just decimating the attacking side of things when it comes to S2. He's a force to be reckoned with. He's the one that S2 needs to worry about the most. Now, we are to go back to that tried and true situation where we see the Tachanka come out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make that point once again. We want to see Mystic do this a little differently. Place out those Goyos, get them those canisters out a little bit farther, start denying that push a lot earlier. If you do that, then you have your smoke and your Tachanka to be that offense, because those critical last seconds is what can separate from a bad team. And I know we've seen Mystic Academy do this before, and I know that they can hold out as long as they possibly can, but they just need to make sure that they're setting this up correctly.
I think a lot of these rounds have actually come down to what's happened off the site. Mystic Academy, their roamers in the first two rounds, opening deaths, weren't really putting up much of a fight. And then in the second two rounds, bam, back to back, they get a huge lead for Mystic Academy in terms of man count. So I think if really that track record continues to show, then Mystic Academy might find themselves continuing to pick up defensive rounds. Kirk getting a little aggressive, but remember what operator they are on. Smoke, a character that gains more power the longer that he's actually on the battlefield and the longer the round goes on. But I think there isn't as much of a golden goose in the hands of Smoke, because you've got Goyo, you've got Tachanka, but otherwise at Mystic Academy, they're playing safe with their lives, but also doing things like this. Skunky jumping on out, Wi-Fi meeting him directly face to face and giving him a swift knife, ending his life.
That essentially was like getting slapped in the face, for a lack of better words. But no, fantastic timing just coming out from the side of S2 Esports. Like, that could not have been more perfect and more in their favor. But we do see finally what looks like some type of strategy starting to form up from S2. We have two players starting to push 90. Those Goyo canisters getting, exploded. C4 is getting pre-placed here and everything. But the thing that we have to remember here is slow and methodical usually wins. So great droning is going to need to be done here. We're going to see teamwork, just communications overall, unless the Tachanka comes into play and those Shamikas stop S2 in their tracks.
Or unless Aimkey starts to show his face very late in the round. He only has really one threat of Wi-Fi. They're just going to be ships passing in the night, barely missing each other. But so far, Wi-Fi underneath the frag grenade isn't going to find anybody, but that doesn't mean he's going to not try again. Maybe just see any vertical play that could give this team the advantage that they need. But so far, Spider playing up. He's able to get one a direct trade with BJL. It's still a risky play. Nonetheless, we'll have to see if it plays out. As so far, Stay Safe, this is the execution phase that they have really been in power with when it's come to this AVG site. It's a 4v2. You have no smoke canisters. You have 14 Shumika launchers, and only those 14 Shumika launchers. Unfortunately, Big Guy not even able to find the one. So this AVG site is in Stay Safe's hands.
Absolutely. Like, I don't even have a point to go against that whatsoever. It just seems like Mystic Academy just has all the tools available to do what they need to get done, but just aren't using the proper, how do we say, setup in order to get it done. So trophy and statuary is where they're going to be revisiting. We did see some more success out of Mystic Academy here. Those black mirrors being set up, Kirk being that unstoppable force behind them. Smart decision to go back to the site for sure. But the big thing is going to be, is it going to continue to be this back and forth? Because I believe that was the first round, that last one, we actually saw it really come down to the wire, where the pressure was really, and bullets were flying essentially everywhere at that point. But the Mystics just got to keep their players up a little bit longer. We have seen that if they do, they have a bit more of an advantage because of the man count, but even then, it's just, they play better together than alone. I know it's kind of like a weird thing to say because you would expect that, but the more people Mystic that are alive, the better they perform.
Crazy how that worked.
Right?
Plays, I know, like, amazing. I mean, Aimkey actually kind of playing all alone this time. You're going to see Bio just kind of push towards the classical window, but Aimkey not really hiding his intentions. He actually punched out the window before the round had even started. So, I mean, you saw Mystic trying to get ahead. S2 right behind. You have Reverse already in piano, already breaking a black mirror. So they are wasting no time getting the utility off of the board for Mystic Academy, using their drones to spot out any of these players. So far, it's been a pretty efficient attack, and we're not even a minute in the round.
A lot of ground needs to be covered here, though, by S2. They haven't quite got into the building fully yet, as 1 minute is fully lapsed. Now, we are probably going to see them do their more usual take. Go ahead and get the drone and start, droning out areas, work on those top floors, getting some verticals and stuff worked out. But what's unusual here is I don't really see players kind of like hanging out on any of the stairs area, but Wi-Fi actually going to come and meet Skunky with a beautiful bullet to the forehead. As Skunky, this is the second time we've seen him go down as the first pick in the round.
It should have been the third late.
Third.
So,
oh,
yeah, we saw the first one, the 5th round, and the 6th round. I mean, Skunky, they just kind of, they saw the breach. It wasn't really a surprise. I mean, I guess they were trying to go for an in-your-face style play, taking advantage of the fact that maybe S2 are just resting on their laurels, but obviously more prepared than that. Biologic, though, ever since the 3rd round and beyond, they've had a little bit more of a suppressed role. They've still shown up here and there, but it's mostly been everybody else on S2 that has started to show up in the kill feed, and that is by no means bad. It means you've got a well-rounded team, but they are going to be the first death on the side of S2, and once again, somebody else is going to have to be the main fragger. Your first thought goes to Reverse, but they are softened up, so maybe 1 or 2 shots from Big Guy might put them in the ground. So as we're nearing that execution phase, S2 are really wanting to make sure they're actually secure in their attack.
This is the slowest round that I think we've seen thus far. We don't really have... Okay, I stand corrected. Spider's going to take down Reverse, so that is going to speed things up here a little bit, as a flurry of kills are going to go back and forth, evening things up to a 2v2 situation with less than 20 seconds here left on the clock.
And attack has to grab the diffuser, but that might not even be the goal in the end, because all it takes is 1 Aimkey death. Wi-Fi can focus on pressuring out the Aruni, while BJ actually gets the diffuser down. He's going to have to stick to the diffuser. If Aimkey can win the fight, he can't. And S2 get a 4-2 lead heading into their defensive half. That was a round-winning gunfight if Aimkey actually had that.
Absolutely. Now, one strategy that we've been seeing played a lot more frequently is kind of like that plant situation, wherever the defensive side will actually allow a plant to happen, because that essentially generates an additional 40 seconds of time. So it gives more time to kind of yourself together if you're on the attack or on the defense and by yourself. So a lot more of a common thing that we've seen here recently. I don't understand why AIMKey didn't use that possibly to their advantage. Maybe it just wasn't in their head. Maybe they were just too focused on trying to get, you know, their job done and get these kills on the board. But it is an advantage that you could use, especially when you're on the defense. But things are going to swap over as we're going to see Mystic now start pushing on attack. I have to say, I do feel like this team is a more of an attacking team, so I think Mystic's going to start lighting up the board a little bit as we move forward.
We'll have to see. I want to go back to that point though, because like I feel like you have two options in that situation. You have the one that you mentioned where you do get extra time, but then you also have the one that AIMKey tried to press for, is that you're essentially in a 1v1 because BJL has to stick the diffuser down. If you walk away with that gunfight win, if AIMKey's actually able to find the kill, either BJL has to stay on the diffuser, put another 3 seconds knowing that, you know, death waits right behind them, or he has to get off the diffuser, try to go for the kill, and desperation might miss. Well, Spider got shot through the wall by really no fault of his own. There, even BJL throwing the lol in chat. Yeah, that was definitely a random spray that is severely going to hurt Mystic Academy. That is the only set of frag rate.
I mean, it's not the first time we've seen a cheeky little situation like a wallbang happen tonight. Remember, we saw it with the Tachanka earlier. So that was actually a pleasure to watch, just because Villa's just one of those maps where there's so many destructible surfaces that really anything can happen. But losing your sledge that early is not something you want to happen, because that's any type of vertical that you would, you know, be able to use, plus like opening up holes and like rotates and stuff like that. That's not gonna happen at this point for the attackers. But I do like what I'm seeing out of S2, really holding a more traditional style defense, holding the stairs and really kind of keeping things a little bit closer to home as far as those sites go.
Now with another player gone, you can hear the vibration of the phone. Skunky definitely hears that in their left ear, but just there's no manpower on the side of Mystic ACAT. It's potentially a flawless round coming out from S2 as Skunky is, well, put between a rock and a hard place as AIMKey gets their knees just stuck in a frost mat. So it's not a flawless round, but you don't have really much luck as the lone Dekebi all by themselves, as BJL is going to reveal their position. I think just maybe going for the scare tactic. Skunky's position is known for sure because, well, I mean, you just saw Wi-Fi go down. So at this point, we're just kind of waiting for the inevitable.
Yeah, BJ's just trying to scare Skunky at this point, and Skunky kind of fell for it there. When you're outside and you're a defender, you get pinged. Everybody knows where you are, so why Skunky decided to go towards that window, we will never know.
Free kill.
True.
Dopamine.
True,
Free kill.
That's not no, we're not even gonna go into that point, but that's just the old coach in me wanting to come. But no, that was shotguns galore. I think that was absolutely smart from S2, just really stack up on those shotguns and just swing and make sure that those shots connected, because Reverse and Biologic, the two top really like players that you would expect to do some work, did some work on those shotguns, and they're doing it once again, but the smoke is even bringing in the shotgun this time. I'm a little terrified about what's possibly gonna happen.
And you don't even need that many rotates on this side. I mean, you got Astro, and you've got the main one that can be used in from the actual site itself to Master. So clearly, Mystic Academy just haven't had the best luck when trying to peek a lot of these shotguns. The Mossberg has a type of gun where if you believe in it, it will do wonders for you. And so far, S2 have had a magic system. Reverse goes for a Hail Mary right there. A C4 doesn't connect onto anything, but I mean, maybe the intention wasn't really to use it in the round, just trying to exploit Mystic Academy's clearly belittled mental state, that you kind of feel that the momentum is severely in S2's court.
I still don't know how I feel about utility being semi-wasted there, just because there are so many practical applications that you could have used that C4 for. Send somebody down below, maybe vertical play. It can happen, but unfortunately, that C4 no longer exists. But we do see Biologic bringing in the Frost. Did have some success with that in the previous round, hoping to do it once again. But we are going to start moving slowly, ever so closer to the end of the round, as still it seems like things are really slowing down for Mystic Academy. They don't really have a solid push here, but they really are trying to make an effort. But Kirk, 2 kills in a row.
Well, trying to take advantage of what is essentially open Astro. Nobody is in there, and what was essentially a flawless round for S2 turns right back around. It's a flawless round for Mystic ACAD, and a lot of that just comes down to the fact that they had recognition of the fact that, well, the defense really wasn't in the positions that they should. Astro was not covered. The actual site of Bathroom was not really looked at, so bam, here comes Kirk swinging in, finding 2, and allowing Mystic ACAD to not give the defense map and match point, keeping their hopes alive to get to close qualifiers in this very round.
The shotgun defense just did not work out in that point. That's kind of the name of the game here, though. When it comes to strategy and really like analyzing the gameplay of your opponents, you want to find that weak point and you want to exploit it as hard as you possibly can. And that's what Mystic Academy essentially did. Like you said, V, they took those small areas that just weren't covered and they pushed into it, taking control of the map and doing what they had to do in order to make that a successful round. Now, there is the potential to see that played here again. Now, a little bit of a different lineup, though, coming from Mystic Academy once they decide to confirm everything. Big guy looking like he's going to stick here on this Buck. I love the Buck. Now, only problem with the Buck is he's got the skeleton key, which does really great things for vertical, but if you forget to pull yourself out of it, it doesn't really do much. But S2 looking to possibly do their situation once again, where they're going to want to play this more default, kind of play the more safe areas. Hopefully we see more players cover those areas that were exploited. But okay, Wi-Fi, I see you.
I'm surprised Spider is alive. Like, I feel like Wi-Fi had the direct angle and the direct shot onto Spider, but it just barely missed his head. So it's not a spawn peek that's gonna open things up. It's just Wi-Fi over in bookshelf, shutting down Kirk. Anki almost directly behind. You might want to call that a collateral in the end. So the Mystic Academy round that we saw previously is not gonna follow suit. And well, now S2 knocking on the door of potential map and match point. All they need to do is get rid of the 3 members that Mystic Academy still have on their attack. But I mean, this round isn't over. We still got 2 minutes left, but they just really all feel disconnected, and I feel like that is a problem.
Oh, and the problem on Mystic's hands right now is going to be having to deal with those smoke canisters coming out very early. Like, that's already taken some health off the board from Spider. Now, the 3 players that remain here, though, in Mystic Academy are really spread out. Nobody's really playing off of each other yet, so they're having to push in and essentially regroup for each other. Going into a bunch of gunfights and just 1v-Xing, feeding yourself to the players of S2 isn't the greatest idea, but if you are like Skunky and you can win your gunfights, it could be a great idea.
I think you just got drop shotted. That plain and simple. Reverse just got absolutely Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 drop shotted right there. Is Mystic Academy, I mean, maybe it's just the reverse getting taken down like that. The round has changed. The tempo, the feel of it has swung a little bit more into Mystic Academy's side. It can very easily still fall in S2's side as well. I mean, Spider's all alone. They're on 1 health. And taking a fight against BJL is not one that really is going to be advantageous. Big guy on the other side of the map is going to go down as you're just still having a lot of these one-on-one gunfights that seem just a little bit unwinnable for this Mystic Academy, though. Spider still able to walk away with it with a nice little headshot, but with 30 seconds left, S2 has Smoke Canister in pocket. Wi-Fi is still alive. We've seen what they are able to do, as now Willow Bulletproof, it swaps back and forth between the defense and attack, trying to give away the best information it can. Wi-Fi uses all their bullets, but has to duck behind the deployable shield. Here comes Spider, can't fight find the shot, cannot find the angle, but now as Wi-Fi barely scrapes away, it seems like Mystic Academy just aren't going to be able to put it together in the end, and it is S2 hitting their way onto map and match point.
Oh, lordy. So here's the problem that we're seeing from Mystic at this point. They're feeding. Once you hit 2 players off the board and you're having to go 3v5, the best situation that you can put yourself into when it comes to attacking is to at least have one of those 2 players, especially when you're so spread out across the map, rotate back and start playing off each other, because you need to make sure that you have that core feeding yourself into the bullets of S2. That's what we just witnessed, is Mystic just kind of really struggled in being able to find that team cohesion and really just bring it back from the brink of what could have been a much stickier situation. Luckily, they did find some kills on the board, but just not quite the round that we were expecting. Now, S2 just being an absolute dominant force here, just knowing where to be just at the right time. Even the situation where we saw in Master Bedroom, we had the one player that was kind of Spider kind of trying to rotate back and forth. Just that proper communication and just knowing, okay, hey, I have a drone on me, I have to move. He's probably going to rotate. Like, using that game sense is just everything in those situations.
It's something that you get with a lot of practice, a lot of repetition. It's not something you can gain really artificially. You have to gain it naturally through lots and a lot of plays. Mystic Academy, I mean, down 3 rounds, it is a difficult act to come back after the way that really they've had. I mean, Spider and Kirk, we've talked about them, but this is the first time I've really noticed what they've been doing. Look at the kill margin that they have. Kirk has 10 kills. Spider has 11. They are trying so hard to keep Mystic Acad in this. VJL goes down in reverse, cannot hop over that balcony. So now potential flawless. Well, Big Guy finds the head of Wi-Fi, so this could be 2 flawless rounds on Mystic Academy. It's not back to back, but either way, you just take that in the end.
I'm over here. Okay, I drank his Red Bull a little bit earlier because he just went crazy on just everybody on S2. Like, if he's gonna light up like that, Spider is gonna come like and try to help him here, taking down 2 players, giving that second flawless round. I don't know. Somebody must have gave this entire team their Red Bulls, because they're awake and ready to go now.
Like, just I don't know. It felt like S2, like, yeah, their positioning was not ideal, but just I don't know what it was about Mystic Academy on that one. They just came in ready to absolutely pound S2 into the ground. So props to them, but I mean, you're going to have to do that twice. S2 going to Aviator in games, I think the roam just kind of snowballed its way because Mystic Academy got that confidence, and they were able to, you know, just divert the attention of S2 a little bit away. And, well, at the end of the day, you also just have to give it down to Big Guy, who got those 3 kills very nicely. Nice little mechanical showdown. But 2 rounds, there's still 2 rounds to go, and S2, it still heavily favors them.
I cannot get over just watching 2, just especially the one trying to vault over, and Big Guy's just like, not today. Absolutely not today. This is my map. And that's the way you got to go into it sometimes. Like, the mentals, a lot of people will argue with you. Mentals is really 80% of this game. If you don't, one, trust your team and trust in your ability and have just that pure confidence in what your ability is, you're gonna have a bad time here on Siege. Wi-Fi already looking to potentially give somebody a bad time, but I don't think we're gonna see a spawn peek come out of him, as we even have Biologic being a sneaky person here on the roam, potentially looking to get early kills.
Yeah, actually rotating all the way through basement. BJL, it seems that S2 They're trying their luck again. They want to get these early peaks, not spawn peaks, but they want to be right here when the guns start firing. Kirk just seemed like unready. I don't exactly know what happened in that engagement, but either way, S2, 2 kills down, and now, I mean, Mystic Academy, they had a flawless round in the previous one, and the exact same scenarios happen, and they just can't walk away with it.
And the 2 players that came off the board are both your double-digit top fragging players. It took Big Guy a little while to warm up, but he could be the saving grace for this round if he shows up once again with those insane kills. But the advantage right now is in the hands of S2. They have time on their side. They also have BJ on their side, which is going to take out Skunky. I feel like Skunky just can't stay alive to save his, well, you know, his own life, I guess you could say. Horrible analogy, but it's just an unfortunate situation to see a player go down that much. But Big Guy's really got to light it up here on 90.
And Aimkey currently not the highest in terms of kills, but honestly, they are going to have to step up in this last 60 seconds, because if you don't, you get handed an L, have to find your way to the closed qualifiers somewhere else. But now with S2, they have smoke canisters. You don't have any C4s, but I think that the smoke canisters really are going to be enough to deter Mystic Academy away from the actual entry of the site itself. The sheer manpower of S2 will actually do the rest of the heavy lifting. Wi-Fi is going to be the main gatekeeper over by Study. Aimkey and Big Eye know that, yeah, you do have the Wamai over there. There's another player by the actual rotate by default, and, well, at this point, all Mystic Academy can do can walk into their inevitable defeats in this match. A 7-3. Or a 7-4, excuse me, for S2, and they get a little bit closer to those closed qualifiers.
Can we talk about that round, or actually no, match-winning C4? The only C4 that we saw come out from either side that had a full, methodical, and successful kill. So, beautiful job done by the S2 Esports team. But remember, Mystic Academy's not quite out of it yet. They just need one more round in order to qualify for closed qualifiers. But so does S2.
But, I mean, they get a little bit closer to facing the top dog of the tournament, 6 Karma, who did win against Somali Pirates 7-1. They have dropped 7 rounds this entire series. Wait, no, it's 7. They've dropped like 8 to 9. So going up against 6 Karma, that's going to be a difficult one, but Mystic Academy. At this point, it's just GG go next. There's 3 more attempts to get there, and, well, S2, they just get another notch closer. So I like both of these teams' odds. They have the skills to pay the bills. It's just kind of about connecting it in the end. But to see Mystic, like, start off 4-0 and then still not make close would definitely sting a bit.
Honestly, I would feel it too, just watching, because once you kind of have that taste of the momentum and you get knocked back a little bit, it's a little humbling, and we'll have to see just how humbled Mystic Academy will be in their next couple rounds. But at this point in time, it is time for us to take a quick break while we get our second matchup ready to go, and we'll see you guys all in just a little bit.